Hello, I'm Ophelia.
And I'm Matthew.
Welcome to Art Mood. We turn to this art channel to share the joy of art, which can be historical, contemporary, paintings, sculptures, or even photography. We would like to hear from you, and so join us or leave us a message if you like what we do. And for this series, will be the last chapter of Philip Guston. So, maybe perhaps like reminder of who Guston is, or
Sure. So he was born in 1913 and he passed away at 1980. Um, Guston was one of the pioneers of neo-expressionism, which is very striking lines, very violent lines, red, just a very violent looking pieces of work, lots of reds and the like. Kind of David Hockney and what was his name? Yeah, David Hockney was also dabbled in neo-expressionism.
mm,
Yeah. Oh, a little fact. I heard recently that it's actually not pronounced Guston. It's actually pronounced Roston.
it's art?
Yeah.
I
It's
don't know.
yeah. But I'm so used to saying Guston, and I don't really want to change it. It's harder for me to remember Roston than Guston.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
sounds a little bit odd when you see the G there, right?
yeah. I guess it's like a maybe European or something kind of name.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
Like, so, yeah, we're looking at painting, smoking, eating paintings, right?
yeah,
Oh, instance, right?
yeah,
So he likes to do a lot of self portraits, and this is him.
yeah,
Do you know what he's working there? Those are like cartoons, right?
yeah. Some of them I don't actually recognize because during this time he made like so many pieces of work.
Yeah.
He would barely sleep. He would just keep making more and more pieces of artwork. Um,
Mm.
yeah, it's we're gonna look at I guess some of them today, and they have kind of a reoccurring theme. So
Right.
yeah, so
So that's like his like towards the end of his life, right?
yes, yes, roughly seven about 7 years before he died, 7 to 5 years.
He's still very active until the end.
Yeah, he was a lot more active before his passing.
Right.
Something just really drove him to just make more and more art all the time. And
Mm.
actually, some of the artwork we're going to look at today is going to show his how how he was during this time period. So
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like
uh,
a reflective period for him, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Um.
Hmm.
So I felt like we should do kind of a small comparison with these two pieces first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I realized they're actually quite similar. Um, if you guys have been following us for the last few weeks, the first week of Guston's, the first week we discussed Klansman during the Guston month,
Mm.
and this was a set of controversial pieces he made, and he made these pieces to kind of depict what he feels like they are. So a lot of them is the Klansmen going around in a car, a clown car with guns. But you have this very normal one here on the right,
Mm.
who is, I guess, doing a self-portrait and is smoking a cigarette through the hood. And you also have this Cyclops on the left, um, also kind of just admiring his canvas, but it's off a foot.
Mm.
it's a little weird that he has 2 cigarettes. That's quite
Yeah.
strange. Yeah.
So he's like a heavy smoker.
Oh yeah, yeah. He went through like 3 packs of cigarettes per day.
Yeah, that's like over 60, is it? Over 60
Yeah,
cigarettes a
more or
day?
less. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. Wow. Um. Yeah, it's just kind of interesting. Except I suppose the one on the right is more red. Maybe it's to show that it's more troubling, more dangerous than the one on the left.
That's like earlier period.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the later period. You can see the palette is a little bit like softer.
That's true. That's true. The one on the right was made in 1969, and the one on the left was made in 1975.
Mm.
Yeah.
So do you know why he made like paintings of himself now, like really seeing the face, like in profile?
Yeah. One of the names of the one on the left is called A Critical Study.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine it's just, an observation of himself, just as he is. But I guess with one eye and kind of a bean-shaped head. Yeah. And it's interesting he has a foot on the canvas rather than a shoe. We looked at shoes last week, and yeah, shoes will be kind of an important part of this today in the layer pieces. But yeah, let's check out the next one. Or do you have anything else to add? Or
No.
okay.
So we can see some components that are very similar to some of the paintings that we saw, right?
Yeah.
The color and then the light bulb.
That's true. Yeah.
Reddish. And there's a clock.
Yes. It's interesting that it stopped at 1:25. So it clearly, and you can see through the window that it's clearly nighttime, and the light is off. So he's contemplating maybe more work, or maybe he's going through some sort of anxiety. It is fascinating for a guy to be up at maybe 1:25 in the morning, just smoking a cigarette in bed.
So it's like it's sleepless nights for him, right? Because you can see his eyes like wide open, puffing his cigarettes, and maybe he's has another one. Oh no, those are his fingers.
Yeah,
When
it's a bit. I mean, the quality of this picture that I took is not very good, but hopefully you can still make out the details. Yeah, you can see some fingers on the side. The head is a little different. It's not bean shaped like the previous one, but it's still kind of a cyclops person. Yeah. I know that usually with artists, a lot of times they prefer working during the night. That's where they get a lot of their work and thinking done.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like some people works better during nighttime, right?
Yeah. Because it's usually more quiet and you don't have as much distractions. Yeah. During this time, actually, he actually disconnected his phone, and he barely interacted with people outside. So he was just in a studio every day making pieces of work, and sleeping for roughly 2 hours a day. Yeah. I also like how he made the window very small. Actually, almost everything in the room is small but him.
Yeah, he's like a giant, right?
Yeah. I don't know if it's supposed to represent something akin to anxiety or loneliness or something, you know?
Insomnia, like like during the nighttime, our thoughts like to play tricks on us.
Very true.
Yeah, our imaginations and our paranoia goes wild at night, and this stops us from sleeping, right? And I'm sure, like, Guston is highly intellectual and who likes to really express himself on the canvas. He's always thinking about something.
Very true.
Yeah.
Do you often stay up around this time as well?
No, not at all. That's very late,
Yeah.
and I don't know. No, I don't.
Wow.
But I
Yeah.
think, like, I know a lot of people would do that. Like a friend of mine, she said, like, she knows someone who just only works at night. So, like, this person is doing some code writing degree, and he would just stay up the whole night to do his assignments.
Wow.
And sleep in when the sun rises. Everything's upside down.
It's quite common with people with this, especially students, artists, writers. Yeah. For some reason, a lot of people, their brain works a lot better at night. It processes more, and yeah. I guess it's the reverse for most people, though. I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, let's. Should we look at the next one?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. So we get to the main piece we're going to talk about today. Painting, smoking, eating.
So again, here we have something on the plate. What is that on him? I'm not sure what they are.
I read somewhere that it might be like French fries.
Oh, okay.
You can kind of see it, the kind of rectangular and the yellow.
Yeah, but I thought they might be like cakes or they look like blocks, more like blocks of
Yeah.
things than food, right?
I mean, if it was
Sorry?
cakes, it'd be too many for one person.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it could be like this, small slices.
Yeah, true.
And then at the back we see the light bulb again, and on the left we see the light bulb, and then there are shoes there. So the light bulb is quite a prominent thing for Guston, right?
Yes.
What does it have any special meanings because it appears everywhere?
I have a theory that the reason for this is to tell us if it's night or day. If it's or not just night and day, but also just tell us if it's dark or if it's bright.
Yeah.
So maybe he's sleeping or trying to sleep, but he's having dinner maybe at nighttime. So he's left alone with his thoughts, his shoes, which again, you can only see the soles of the shoes. You can't really see the main part of the shoe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's supposed to represent that was just what was on his mind at the time, because
It's more like his thoughts and his vision, right? Or
yes,
like things it dreads him.
exactly. But of course, we talked about his shoes, some of his shoe paintings last week, and he made so many of them, and it was all the same angle, just varying versions of the same kind of a subject. Yeah, and of course, he's lying in bed and he's smoking. Yeah, he's always smoking in bed. You can also see a pot in the background with maybe brushes inside, or two pots actually.
Pots?
Yeah, like in the center here and on the
Oh,
right.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Like, is that for painting or
yeah, I imagine so.
colors?
Yeah, probably an artist like him who creates all the time probably needs several brushes and several pots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they kind of rinse the brushes, right?
Yeah, exactly. So another thing I noticed is with the name of this piece, painting, smoking, eating.
Mm-hmm.
During this time, like I said earlier, he focused so much on painting all the time, and smoking was secondary to him because he would smoke 3 packs of cigarettes a day.
Mm.
But eating would be the least important thing to him.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So he didn't really care about his nutrition. That's why he's just eating a plate of fries or chips.
Mm.
Yeah. They didn't clearly care about his health if he was going through that many packs of cigarettes and not careful about what he's eating. He just really cared about creating art. And it,
Yeah.
and earlier I was saying about the shoes being a big thing he was painting a lot of the time. You can just
Mm.
see it splayed in the background, and it's the second the second noticeable thing about this piece.
Mm.
Yeah. And again, the shape of the head is like a bean, and he's still got one eye, like a
Mm.
cyclops. But yeah. I think we've got one piece left.
Okay, let's look at it.
All right.
And they all have this. Oh, this is like a zoom in, right?
Yeah. It was a weird shape, so yeah. It's I don't know if it's easier for you to see it because on my screen it's a bit too big.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think it's just right on mine.
Oh, awesome. So yeah, maybe you can make out a bit more details than I can.
We can see the bed frame there,
Mm-hmm.
and his head is more prominent, right? Like a broad beam.
Hmm.
And again, we have a lot of shoes at the back, and lamps and light bulbs too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot more, well, details in this painting compared to the previous one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can also notice that the light bulb looks a bit better. It's
Mm.
got like a lampshade, and there's 2 of them.
Yeah.
And the shoes now, you can not only can you see the soles, but you can see some of the shoes are actually upright now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This piece is called Painter in Bed, and you can see that on his duvet that
Mm.
instead of a plate of food, he just has art materials.
Mm.
Yeah. So he's foregone food to just
Mm.
trying to sleep and then painting.
Mm.
Yeah. It can be kind of an issue with as a painter to just focus on just making work rather than
Mm.
focusing on your health.
Mm.
Because generally you can as an artist you're only of value when you're able to produce something.
Yes,
This,
that's true.
yeah, the same as being a writer. You can only make money, you can only be valued if you write things.
Yes.
Yes.
So they're constantly under like stress, right?
Oh, totally. But he was kind of, I don't know, was he well off? Was he struggling at this time? Do you think?
I think it was very successful, right?
Hmm.
He became successful when he started with like neo-expressionism.
Hmm.
But then he changed the style, but there are still people who admire his works, and I think he was quite like prolific and productive during this period as well.
Hmm. Hmm. So, what do you think maybe drove him to just focus entirely on just painting more than anything else, in your opinion?
I don't know. I thought he was trained as he's always been a painter, right?
Mm.
I don't think he's ever touched sculptures or clay or anything.
Mm.
But it seems like he's interested in kind of dissecting characters,
Mm.
especially like a self-reflection kind of thing,
Mm.
and evaluating himself constantly.
Mm.
But in a sense, we all turned to our inner selves every now and then, right? We look into ourselves and we kind of like analyze what's going on in our minds
Mm.
or in other people's minds.
Mm. That's true. Um, and I feel like it gets worse as you get older because you just get a lot more thoughts about things in general. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you like about these paintings?
Um, they kind of speak to me as I want to say as a budding artist. Um,
Mm.
there's a lot of late nights and a lot of times when you're just up at like 1 a.m.
Mm.
and there's kind of a it's kind of a serious problem with like a lot of artists is that because of the value of your work, um, it it does sometimes make people focus entirely on just making work and isolating
Mm.
themselves from people.
Mm.
Um, it's a lot of his work you can kind of tell just by looking for a few minutes what it's trying to say and what it's about.
Mm.
And even actually we've been looking at his work for a few weeks, and I noticed that they're quite easy it's quite easy to tell what kind of what he's trying to say through his works.
Mm.
Mm. And even with the Klansman, it's I think people were kind of offended by it, but when you really think about it, it wasn't shown in a positive light. You know, it wasn't showing the Klansman in a positive light,
Mm.
and you know, actually, he's quoted saying that he didn't like the idea of art showing only purity. He wanted to show the very gritty, the grittiness of life.
Mm.
You know, I think that's
Mm.
why he uses a lot of this red, and he's always smoking in bed, and he's alone, and he's not in a nice room. He's in a cluttered room,
Mm.
and he doesn't look particularly happy. He's just it's just that's what he's going through at that time.
Mm.
Yeah. But what do you like about these pieces of work?
Well, I think, like you mentioned earlier, that most artists need to find something to monetize the passion, right?
Mm.
And they're constantly looking for ways to express themselves,
Mm.
what appeals to them.
Yeah.
And I think Guston have found this, like, what to express himself through his internal struggles.
Mm.
And I think a lot of artists or contemporary artists now, they either paint about the society, the politics. I mean, like Grayson Perry, like his works, his pottery is all about like politics mostly, what's happening and what's going on around. Whereas like George Condo, he painted about like the psychology of one person, right? How it splits into different personalities and express them on the canvas.
Mm.
So Augustine himself, he expressed fear, I think, on the canvas somehow.
Mm. Very true.
So yeah, I mean, contemporary artists there have very interesting kind of thoughts, right? It becomes really expressing themselves.
Mm.
Whereas in antiquities or in the ancient times, it's more about a dedication to a certain thing, right?
Yes.
Like I think I mentioned it in our last stream that painters in like Constable or like Monet, they express the beauty of nature, of the sky, of the clouds, of portraits. Of course, they painted portraits, and because again, then that's the commission, right? That they can get like favorable financial rewards.
Mm. Do you
Yeah.
Sorry, go
So
ahead.
times have changed. Time has changed, I guess.
Hmm. I was gonna add to that. I was gonna ask, do you prefer this style of like painting, so very gritty subjects, or do you prefer, the classic where it's more capturing beauty and the like?
Well, I guess for beauty, at least, like it has to be easy on the eye when you first look at it.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, I've no doubt these are highly intellectuals, but for myself, I would prefer something that's easy on the eye when you first look at it.
Mm. I can see that. Yeah. Um, his work is quite fascinating. It's very unique. Um, it does take a while to get used to. I'll be honest. It's not a. I don't want to say they're not beautiful because it's really it's perspective, I guess.
Mm.
Yeah, but it really tells you about what he was thinking and what he was going through. And
Yeah, it stimulates our brains and stimulates our thoughts, I guess, and that's what life is about.
mm-mm, yeah. I did want to mention one thing before we finish the stream is that
Mhm.
for any artists out there, you need to like focus on your health and you know eat a certain amount of food per day, and
Mhm.
you should value yourself more than your work. You're not your work. You're your own person. You're more valuable. And
Mm.
yeah, um, maybe don't smoke as much as this guy, and also don't smoke in bed. It's very dangerous.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, so that's the end of this episode, and we hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any comments or feedback, please leave us a message. And if you like what we do, you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel under the same name. And thank you for listening, and look forward to you joining us at the same time next week.
All right. Bye bye.